play one e4 as well.
e4. I'm correct, right, Rebecca? That is the first move in the Taimanov Sicilian.
Yeah, that is the White's first move in Taimanov's. Just White's first. I'll get there. It's been a very long day. So it's the move that White plays, and Black responds by pushing the c pawn forward, and play develops in a very creative positional style. Now, the man behind me, Mark Taimanov, he actually came up with 4 different variations, all across the openings. And the one we're talking about is the Taimanov Sicilian, but I'd like to talk a little bit more about Mark Taimanov himself, because he had a really interesting story. He was multi-talented, a child film star, can you believe that? And also a concert pianist. He played piano duo with his first wife, rather. And he was also Soviet champion and also an established author. So he was such a kind of creative, multi-talented person. And I really like the way he kind of came to chess, actually.
Oh, how was that?
It's a very, very touching story. So obviously he was a child film star, and this film won awards. So as a thank you, the Soviet authorities actually said, well, you can go to the Pioneer's Palace and you can choose a lecture that you can study. And a little voice said, chess. Choose chess. And so he did. And that is how he came to study under the tutelage of a soon-to-be world champion, Mikhail Botvinnik. It's not often that your first teacher is a world champion. And things got better and better for him. And he just, he became Soviet champion twice, and he also qualified to the World Championship cycle twice. And it was in 1971, at the age of 44, when he kind of had a second wind in his sails. And things were going great for him. He qualified for the World Championship candidate cycle. And guess who he was facing? He was facing Bobby Fischer,
who obviously won that candidate.
Yes, okay, but the story goes that Taimanov actually asked Botvinnik, hey, I'm playing this great American, what can I do? How can I prepare for this? And Botvinnik said to him, okay, you've got to take some extraordinary circumstances. You've got to practice, not against one grandmaster, but against 2 grandmasters. And both of these grandmasters should be allowed to use opening books, in-game manuals, and they should be allowed to consult with each other and actually play out the moves on the board. And if you can play against these people, then you are well prepared. So he did this. He lost 2 games, he won 1 game, drew the rest, and guess what? He went very confidently in to play Bobby Fischer, and this is where things get really, really bad, because to the shame and humiliation of the Soviet government, Taimanov lost 6-0, and this meant that punishment was harsh and swift. He was banned from playing chess, he was banned from playing the piano concerts, and he was banned from traveling. His life just fell apart. But, the thing is, Taimanov was a kind of optimist person, and he just said, this is a dramatic, memorable moment in my life, and he's able to do that because actually his story has a happy ending. Because after 2 years, his title was reinstated, his bans were lifted, and he became a celebrated chess author and chess personality. And he had a really colourful life as well. He was married 4 times, had 2 twins at the age of 78. And so let's have a look at this opening that he popularized.
Absolutely.
So it's
Taimanov Sicilian.
It starts off with the king's pawn moving 2 squares, and black responding the Sicilian defense, which is picking up the c-pawn, putting on the c5, and then the white knight develops out. And now this is the key move. It doesn't pick up the d-pawn, but it picks up the e-pawn, 1 square, liberating the dark square bishop. After white challenges in the center and the standard trade, knight takes, and then the knight comes out, and then things get creative after white develops the knight, and now this is his point. The queen comes to the c7 square, and this is a kind of creative. He wrote a book on this, and it's been a much celebrated line. It's positional, it's safe, it's also quite dynamic, and it's been a favorite of grandmasters such as Alexei Shirov, Judith Polgar, and Hari Krishna wrote a lifetime repertoire course on this, and he actually spent 6 months non-stop working on this opening.
But I can tell you, it's not been very popular on Meltwater Champions Chess Tour. It actually has only, at least before today, been played once. And how interesting. The one time it was played was in a final between Magnus Carlsen and Jan Nepomniachtchi. Magnus, with the black pieces, went on to win this. And that must have been the Air Things Masters.
Yes, that looks like it.
But strange that it's not a more popular opening. Only played once on the tour.
I think it's because the trend has been to play like the Najdorf Sicilian. Everyone is doing that. They like the theory, they like the dynamism. And this one is just fallen out of favor amongst the elite. It still has a good following at the other levels.
All right. Well, you can become an expert in this opening, of course, because the prize in the quiz of today is a chessable course on the Time-Up Sicilian chessable course. So do tweet your answer to the quiz of today for a chance to win that. We are getting ready for Game 4 between Pragg and Wei Yi, but first we have to talk to the winner of another quarterfinal match. Ding, congratulations on being ready for the semifinals.
Thank you.
What was this match against Mamedyarov like?
It's a very tense one, and I'm very nervous throughout the whole game. Yeah, the first one was not so crazy as the second one and the third one, but somehow a little bit worse at some point. But the position is not so complicated, so I can control it, and my position is getting better slowly. The second one, of course, the turning point of the whole match. Yeah, he played very risky line in the opening, and I was winning at some point when I checked the engine of the game. But the move Bishop G5, I did not see it. After Knight G5, Bishop F6, suddenly I realized that it's not so easy to maintain king. And then there are many up and downs, and I'm very lucky to not only save the position but also win the games, although with a lot of with his help.
Well, it's been a very entertaining match, I have to say. Did you enjoy playing it, even if it was nervous?
Yes. Since I was always leading, and I'm not. I just need to draw in the final one, and I played very dirty, I think. Exchange all the pieces.
Well, it did work out for you. You are ready for semifinals, obviously, to face Magnus Carlsen, and everyone is looking forward to that matchup. Ding, what will it be like?
Yes, it's always be a good pleasure to play against Magnus, especially on the knockout stage. Since I think maybe he takes the preliminary stage very not so serious, like LeBron James plays something. NBA. Yes, he come out of his best on the knockout stage, so it's going to be a big fight.
Yeah, and when you played each other in the semifinals and the Charity Cup, that was a fantastic match. You came very close also to making it through, playing some great games. So what will be the plan against Magnus to be able to make it to the final?
Yeah, I haven't played against him in the finals since I always lost in the semifinal against everybody. I think I lost so many times in the semifinals that I haven't reached finals at any time. So this time I will try.
It's going to be very entertaining. Ding, I know it's very late where you're sitting, so thank you so much for taking the time to join us, and best of luck tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Ding Liren ready for semifinals against Magnus Carlsen, and who will face Anish Giri in the other semifinal? Praggnanandhaa is in the lead. This is a must-win situation for Wei Yi, making a comeback in Game 3. And it is Pragg with the white pieces. What's going on?
And the game has just started, and we're going to see an opening we very rarely see. What's even the name of this? Is it the Old Indian?
I played. This is the last game I played in a competitive tournament. I played this as black,
Okay.
and I did horribly. It's the Czech Benoni, I think,
The
isn't
Czech
it?
Benoni? Okay.
Yeah, and it used to be a bit of a joke with this opening in the English circuit. I mean, I know if something went wrong, like like if you had a bad dinner or something, you'd be go, oh, it's a bit Czech Benoni, or if or something didn't, whatever. If something went wrong, it was the Czech Benoni. That's what everyone thought.
Not a good
of the opening.
reputation.
Very bad reputation as not being a very good opening for black, actually. And in order to win, it's a strange choice because you block up the centre of all your pawns there, so you don't have many pawn breaks and you give space away. So it's I wouldn't expect this in a must-win situation.
Yeah, I guess Wei Yi, his whole concept is that he's keeping as many pawns, as many pieces on the board as possible. He's going to hope that Pragg, who does have a history, a track record of getting low on the clock, he's going to hope that Pragg's nerves come into play, that maybe those will be a factor, time trouble later on in the game. Here we see black is the first to castle, but white doesn't necessarily even need to commit his king, because the centre is so blocked, as Simon mentioned. There are actually choices here. White's king sometimes goes the other way, or he delays that decision as long as possible. First, the bishops come out. Computers always love these positions for white because white has more space. If you look at that central structure, it's like an arrowhead. White's pawns pointing in the middle of the board. Black's pawns are kind of, much more reactive. Black later often tries to play on the right half of the board. I'm sure Pragg will try and lock things down though as much as possible. He only needs a draw, so he's happy as long as the game is under control. You don't want to allow black to break out. That's what it's all about right now.
Yeah, but the breakout will happen.
Eventually.
So a plan that I've just put down my cup of hot water is that you can do what has a name when you actually fianchetto your king side and then you put your knight on the G7 square.
So for example, you could start with retreating the black knight, and just to show the route, you put your knight on this G7 square. I'm not sure the name either, Jovanka.
But it has a name?
I think it does.
Stupid.
The first time I saw it done, I was like, oh my goodness me, what is this? And then, I think it was a grandmaster who did it. I was like, never seen that before. And then, when I kind of became a bit more familiar with the ideas, I was like, oh, okay, it's an official thing.
I know Aronian plays this way, Liv Aronian, sometimes the black pieces, but there's not many grandmasters in the world who play the Czech Benoni. It's really rare. But putting the knight here is the only way you can try to play f5. But I can maybe understand a little bit why Wei Yi is playing this way, because he wants to keep peace on the board. He's going for the stupid knight maneuver. So I can understand why he does it. He keeps all the pieces on the board. He's hoping to get some chances later on. But that's your only break. Your only break is to play that pawn. You have no other breaks, and if white just puts all his pieces to stop that break, I think it's very hard to break out. And the way that Pragg's played this, he can play his pawn to G4 at the right moment to work against that, and it's going to be very hard to break out in this position. Yeah. You think he will get it? You think he will break out here?
Possibly. One idea as well in the current position, I'm slightly surprised he started with this pawn push, because you're supposed to start with the knight, because here white could actually kick your rook to a bad square, the rook under attack, and now white could push the pawn even further. And how is this knight even getting, it's a bad square, G7, as we talked about, but how is this knight ever moving? I'm surprised Pragg didn't take this opportunity. I thought this was quite a well-known pattern, and now the black knight just can't even use this circuit. Instead, he's gone for the same idea, pushing forward this pawn, but at least the black knight, if he really wants, can still reroute around this way, and he does that.
But all white has to do here, surely, is put the bishop, just aim everything at that pawn break. Literally, put everything to stop that pawn break, and then just wait.
Yeah.
And there's nothing black can do if you do this. You've got two pawn breaks. You've got the one that we talked about, and you've got the other one on the queen side, but they're both covered so well by everything, and you don't have to do anything. But maybe this is where he's thinking, Pragg's going to do something because he's done something in everything else of the game. But it's really hard to break if you just play this way.
I just think this is the perfect setup with all these pieces in a block position. They are poised. They're ready to mobilize later. If black does break out at the wrong time, this maneuver as well, I've seen this, as you mentioned, from Lev on Aronian, the black knight coming to this square. We're going to see something very weird potentially. For example, if white just waits, I'm not sure exactly how, but we might see a situation where if white continues waiting, the black knight goes to this square, and then the other black knight goes to this square. It looks so weird. Remember as well that this black knight actually started on the other side of the board, but black is just getting ready everything later for this pawn push. As Simon said, often this pawn push is actually bad, even if you can arrange it, but you just want to scare white with the threat of this pawn push. Actually, often just the idea of it is much kind of scarier than the reality. And in the current position, yeah, especially all of these white pawns, they just lock down the position, and Pragg has full control. But let's ignore the evaluation bar for a while. It's still difficult for white to find a plan. Apart from containing black, you need an active plan yourself. And often white will maybe reroute the knight, start throwing pawns forward towards the black king. Just from my experience, at least, of these positions. But very tense, very tense, very locked up, this position.
And, well, Wei Yi has a specific goal in mind. That is to win this game. Nothing else will suffice. And for our quiz of the day, we're asking, what is your goal in chess? And the prize is a lifetime repertoire of the Taimanov Sicilian. And Fatima says that her goal is to become the first woman to play in the candidates and maybe one day even challenge the world champion. I love that, Fatima. You go for it. Go for the top.
Absolutely, but have
Judith Polk.
played in the candidates before?
She played in a candidates tournament.
Yeah, and she played for the World Championship title when the World Championship was decided in a tournament. Back, was it 2007?
She was certainly strong enough to compete and, for the World Championship title at best. So yeah.
2005, 2007, around that time, she was playing in tournaments for the World Championship. So she's been close, but yeah, to take that final step to become world champion overall, that would be a milestone in chess.
We're all cheering for Fatima.
Yeah, definitely. And Ryan Baker, I like this. It's a very simple goal, but it's a good one. It says their goal in chess is to simply never stop feeling the thrill I do when I sit down on the board. Yeah, and wow. What do you think? We'll just have to go back to the game because White's king has gone to the left.
Not happy, Simon?
I don't see why you have to commit your king so much, because as soon as you commit your king in such positions, you just give your opponent a target, and he's got, maybe, the break on the other side of the board is now key. Black should not be trying to play the one near his king, but he should be able to play the B pawn up 2 squares, and even if you sack a pawn in some position, you just need to open up lines over there. So I don't think Pragg needed to put his king so quickly in that position. He could have been a bit more patient there. And
now look, the queen is coming.
Yeah, it just seems a bit strange to give Wei Yi a target over there. Why give your opponent a target? So
this is the target, the white king, and he's going back where he came from with the white rook. And I think maybe Pragg not so familiar with the ideas here, but if we just backtrack to the moment, that key moment when he castled his king, I know a lot of top players here who would have actually spent 2 moves getting there. He could have had the same position. He would move his king 1 square forward. No matter what black does, he moves his king across. And if you imagine, for example, the black queen coming out, this is the position we have on the board, but here it's white to move. So basically, we've got the position on the board now with black to move, Wei Yi, by doing what Pragg did, by castling queenside and only then pushing his king up the board, only then in this position, bringing his rook back where it started the game, he's lost 1 move. So it's a small kind of trick of the trade, which comes with experience, which comes from studying these types of positions, but he could have had the exact same position just with his king already on the square with himself to move.
Actually, talking about that then, is that what, for example, his coach Ramesh is sort of looking at? So after this game and after this tournament, maybe that is something they will look at and work on?
Definitely. They'll go deep on every single move, every single decision. I know Ramesh, he's really one of the best chess coaches in the world. He's really detail-oriented, and he will pick apart even Pragg's wins. He'll say, here you could have won even smoother, here you could have kept more control, here you could have had the same thing just with 1 extra move, like in this situation. I mean, I'm not even saying it's a good plan putting White's king on this side of the board. I'm inclined to agree with Simon. I think it's very risky to put White's king on this side, but if you could have done the same thing with one extra move, then it's definitely a better version. So, meanwhile, Wei Yi's rook coming across. Black is definitely trying to prepare that scary pawn push at some point, and we will reach boiling point when it's just maximum tension.
Wow.
This
Already, 16.
And all 32 pieces still on the board, and they will likely remain on the board for a while yet. Okay, now the black queen going back, just preparing this black pawn push.
Pragg, he must have fantastic fighting chess index.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think both these players.
Yeah. But putting his king on that side, is that a fighting kind of move?
Yes.
Gutsy.
Yeah.
Unnecessarily brave, maybe, when you only need a draw. Kings on opposite flanks always result in some kind of attack.
But,
Simon. Sorry.
Sorry,
Manka.
I was just going to say, how realistic is it that Wei Yi actually manages to orchestrate that breakthrough on the left? Because Praggnanandhaa does have full control for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's in the long run. I mean, maybe you can try to put the bishop where the queen was a minute ago, and just you can get your knight, get everything around there. I mean, it's still very hard to do. It's still incredibly hard. So I don't think Pragg's decision is that bad, because the position's so blocked. You can pretty much do anything. You put your king anywhere, and you still got to break out. Interesting question as well. Just on Chess24 chat, occasionally look at. And this is by our friend Chess in Numbers, and we're just talking about Pragg and who has the most potential in the future to become world champion. And it's really hard to say. There's a lot of pressure on them, but we've mentioned Ali Reza Firouzja and Pragg, and it's very hard to compare them, of course, for obvious reasons. But Chess Numbers, and I think it's our friend, thinks that Pragg does have the most potential if we're looking at, say, 4 to 5 years from now. So that's quite interesting, just by the stats. He's a stat guy, just saying that he thinks Pragg is really great chance. Obviously he does. We can see how much he's improving of becoming world champion, but compared to other players, I don't know, it's interesting to see, isn't it? And to debate really who is going to be the world champion in 4 to 5 years.
It's interesting though. Okay, meanwhile we have had a really dramatic pawn push on the board, but if we just see their stats there, Wei Yi and Pragg, and on the tour ratings, Pragg is actually ahead by almost 20 points, but Wei Yi, when he was 15 years old, he was higher rated than Pragg is now at 16. So just having that potential, having the rating, having achieved all those goals, doesn't necessarily mean you take the next step. Wei Yi is still fantastically strong. That's why he's in the quarterfinals now, but he's never made it into the world top 10. He never broke through to challenge the world top players on a consistent basis, despite breaking the 2700 barrier at only 15. So
it is maybe about those years Praggnanandhaa is entering now.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's all about staying with that love of chess, taking chances, playing as much as you can, being brave against the world's best players. Wei Yi maybe hasn't had the opportunities because in China the situation's been different. COVID, obviously, lots of factors, but
you just have to keep improving, don't you? That's the simple thing. And so many players, they just plateau, and there's not really any reason why they plateau. Sometimes they just can't get past a certain point. So you've just got to keep improving at this level, and it's very hard to do that when you get stronger and stronger. It gets harder and harder to improve. So
Sorry. I was going to say, sometimes it's like David says, sometimes it's just unfortunate that you reach this level, but maybe there are other talents as well, so you don't get the same attention or the opportunities. And, big stuff happening in the Praggnanandhaa game.
Dramatic move, you said.
Yes.
big moment because we have seen the first trade of pawns. So all 32 pieces were on the board up until move 18. But now, after this pawn push by white, we have reached boiling point, as mentioned, and now black can no longer avoid any trades. If black just waits and continues maneuvering, then white will simply push the pawns forward, and this is a pawn storm. White will steamroll at black on this side of the board, pushing everything forward, and this black king is not going to survive when things open up. So, in the end, Wei Yi had to simply trade. He had to swap off this set of pawns, and now the black knight goes back, because white is the one with breakthroughs. We talked about those pawn breaks. This pawn break for black is controlled for now. White has, I think, 5, if you include pawns and pieces, 5 pieces controlling this square, so black can't break out yet. Instead, it's white's pawn break, which is about to happen, that is the key. So black retreats the knight in anticipation of that. And the question is, does white step forward now? Does white break open the center? Is he ready? Or is his king a bit too open? For example, we could see a trade. Maybe black will occupy this outpost with his bishop, with his knight. It still looks great to me for white, I must admit. Or will we see Pragg maybe continue to build up, or maybe even throw some pawns down the board towards the black king? There's so many options, actually.
Definitely. I mean, my first instinct was to initiate the harry attack. But then I've kind of changed my mind. I think pushing in the center is just such a harmonious move. Suddenly the knight has a nice square on the e4, and Wei Yi probably has to capture that pawn. You can't let such a fantastic pawn stay on e5. But then the bishop gets that beautiful long diagonal attacking the rook. This looks fantastic, and of course you have your long-term trump, the protected pass pawn in the middle.
Yeah, white will win any endgames with this pawn. Yeah,
I mean, it might.
Fantastic.
It does. I mean, I suppose after the exchange, you give away a square, maybe the d6 square, that black can put a piece on, and I mean, it could even be quite a clever time to have a look and think, what's black's next move? Because if black moves that knight again, which is just moved towards the queen side, which is not a ridiculous move, trying to support the pawn push, then your idea becomes even stronger. And I'm just thinking, what other move can black play? If black moves the bishop, then I think, to try get on the diagonal, then maybe your pawn push becomes even stronger. What's black's next move? I can't see what black's next move is, so maybe we can do your idea, but just prepare it. Like, just asking black, what are you going to do next, in a better position here. I still think it's very strong. I mean, I'd be tempted to play it straight away as well, but just it's always worth asking what your opponent's going to do next as well, I feel.
Yeah, because if they don't have a move, you improve.
You just improve, yeah. That's it. If
no move,
they don't have a move, improve. Beatbox, do you want the beatbox?
No. I got some criticism from my husband last night when he said, you should have done a rap.
Okay, well, let's try.
Looking forward
Let's
to you
try
doing a
now.
rap.
Let's try now.
The problem is I don't know how to rap.
Well,
the only rap that I can do is the rap to wannabe, and that's just not great.
Oh, that's a great one.
Which one's that then?
I'll tell you what I want.
What I really, really want.
Don't tell me what you want.
What I really, really want. I really, really want a zig-a-zig.
That's a rap.
Okay, guys, here's a story from A to Z. If you want to get with me, you better listen carefully. You got M in your face, da-da-da-da-da. Easy free, she doesn't come for free. And as for me, you'll see. There you go.
Rap.
It's very nice. Not quite Eminem, but you're
No.
nice. No, it's good.
Well, anyway, we do have action on the board. I can't believe I just did that. Okay, the pawn has moved forward to the center.
Next time, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Very good.
The breakthrough has happened. So Pragg deciding that this was the one moment to pull the trigger and break open the center. Well, I don't know. I think he should have prepared it more. But
I was just wondering what spice girl you'd be. I just wondered,
As for me, you'll see.
what spice girl you'd be? What would
Jerry.
Sporty? You'll be Jerry.
Ginger.
Ginger. I know.
Ginger Spice.
Ginger Spice.
She's
Okay.
the coolest.
Yeah.
I thought Simon would be Ginger Spice, no?
I could try. Yeah.
Who would we all be? Ginger Spice.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. You
Maybe we'll be
you already
posh.
said it, haven't you? So you've said
Yeah, but
Spice.
it's clearly you though, Simon.
Yeah, it'd have to be me, wouldn't it? So, don't know. Who's sporty?
None of us.
Kaya's sporty.
I'd love to be Sporty Spice. I know how to do her kick. I've been practicing.
Okay, that's next on the list of things to see.
Meanwhile, we are seeing as Kaya prepares that sporty kick. We're seeing bishops come off the board, knights coming off the board, but is Pragg rushing? He's trading off the pieces, and that goes against conventional wisdom. Your opponent's really cramped. Black had no space. Black had no squares for pieces. Simon mentioned Black had no moves almost, and now he's trading pieces, liberating Black's army. Don't trade pieces when you have extra space. That's how the saying goes. And right now, let's jump in. We did see, we actually predicted up to this point, Black occupying this square with his bishop. And I thought here, okay, maybe just bring your rooks to the center. This rook, just improve your pieces. Nope. Instead, he trades, improving this Black knight in the process. And now he jumps forward. I think he's too hasty here, Pragg. I'm a bit worried about the trend of this game. Now the Black knight goes back. He should not kind of rush and continue trading, exchanging things off, because Black actually gets a really nice knight on an outpost here. Knights are great blockaders, and this knight has influence on both sides of the board. Black is actually almost ready.
Grab the pawn.
Yeah, he's got greedy though. He's grabbed a pawn, and is this going to backfire? Because actually, suddenly after this rook move, look at the white king. Look where it stands. It's on the same line as this black rook. Lots of targets. And maybe it's good objectively for white, but you're losing a lot of control, taking massive risks. If this white knight returns, then at some point there will be this pawn break to watch out for, trying to crack open the line towards the towards the white king. And I just got distracted there because we've seen another couple of moves. Instead of going back, he traded off, and he's lost a lot of quality in his position. White is one pawn up now, and he's playing positionally, but it's all about the white king. Maybe he's just got things under control.
Yeah, I still
only
think
needs to
Somehow I
draw,
feel
remember.
that's true, but somehow I feel that Wei Yi will be in his element here. You know, he thrives in these tactical positions, and there are chances for white to go wrong. But it does look like, having said all that, that Praggnanandhaa is, well, his position looks quite solid.
Yeah, he is one pawn up, and he's defending everything for now, but those black knights are going to come.
I mean, the thing is with these positions, the computer obviously says that Prag's better. It has done from move 3, but just look at the white king. The white king's over there. You can that knight maneuver you just mentioned, David. That's coming around to the queen side, and there might be a B pawn break. It just feels a little bit like black has some chances at least.
And
So
on the dark squares, white is really vulnerable. So if the black knights can jump around on dark squares to go for that white king, potential chances. It's in practical terms at least much easier to play for Wei Yi than Pragg, especially compared to 5 moves ago. I still think Pragg is doing great in a long game. In a classical game, if he had 1 hour, 2 hours, he would win. But wow, okay, he's going for the attack. Yeah, he's not scared at all.
it's not safety first, is it? It's just not safety first at all.
I don't know, I don't like this, and the reason I don't like it is because the rook can go and attack the queen, and suddenly there's another avenue.
Did you see Wei Yi as well? He was a bit slouched in his chair. Suddenly he
got up.
kind of got up, and
Look, at maybe even move the queen 2 squares forwards and threaten some immediate ideas of just blasting the position.
I was going to say this move, guys. I was gonna
hello.
say, this is the first move on my radar as soon as the evaluation bar shot, and black is using this pin. Let's jump in and explain, because it's all about this file. That's where the white king is. That's where black's major pieces are. So break open that file at any costs. This knight jump. What a move. Trying to jump in and give a nasty check. If white continues pushing, for example, this is a royal fork, and white's queen drops off, so you have to remove this knight from the board, stop it getting in. If you take it with your pawn, the black queen breaks through. This is going to end in disaster. If you take with the knight, then now, okay, again, your king lacks its best defender, and it's all about this file. The black knight about to jump and take this pawn as well.
I think we're going to playoffs.
That's what
I think so
reckon.
too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
You think
I
Wei
reckon.
Yi will actually win this?
Yeah, I mean, I think Praggnanandhaa's lost control. The only thing that I would be doing here is, if I were white, I would be desperately trying to swap off queens. Is this possible? Can I?
Bring your queen to the edge of the
Yeah,
board,
to
maybe.
the edge of the board, but
Try to challenge.
But of course, Wei Yi will say no, having none of that, and step forward 2 squares, and then what is the white doing?
Just scared.
I know, it's very scary stuff.
This is the dream attacking combo, the queen and knight, and they're coming towards the white king. Yeah, Simon, I think you might be right. It's just the momentum. We mentioned that, yes, white is still in maximum control. White was still doing well, but things have been slipping in black's favour slowly, and I think this last move, this star move, I'm not sure I would have found it, but as soon as the evaluation bar went that way, it's like, okay, there's something, and it's all to do with the white king.
Time is also not great, another little factor playing against Pragg, but it's just that his position's really loosening up now, and is now getting to a very critical stage. I mean, he's still okay, so he could certainly hold this one, but he's got to find some very accurate moves, and it's very hard to defend, such positions. I mean, computers can do it, but humans finding good defensive moves when your king is getting more and more exposed, very tough. I mean, was this a brilliant opening choice from Wei Yi, who knows that this opening is the check but only? It's a bit dodgy, it's a bit check, but was it just it's worked out very well at the moment, I think, to give him chances with the black pieces.
Yeah, let's see. Pragg, okay, he's shaking, he's trying to get the energy pumping, but getting energy pumping when you're on the defensive suddenly, I'm not sure it works that well. And okay, he does decide to trade the knights, but oh no, this is not going to end well. Surely things are opening up towards the white king. White has lost the best defender, the knight. The knight is the king's best friend, and also pawns are hanging on both sides of the board now. The white A pawn at some point might be nice and juicy. temporarily the black knight is under threat. You can just move it though.
You could just retreat it to go forwards if you want to. There could be something more violent. I mean, I might flick in an exchange of pawns here because I want to open up the white king as much as I can. I mean, that opens up another line, so why not flick it in? But this is the move that at some point is just very worrying. That knight coming to the central square is hitting everything. I mean, it's such a strong knight, that one.
And how wild is it if white just goes, I'm going to ignore it, and says, well, carry on.
And he hasn't done this. Maybe you're right, Ivanka, maybe he had to try that, but okay, he's lining up against this pawn, but this is easily defended. I mean, black wants to put his knight in this in the center anyway, and he not only attacks the queen, attacks everything, but he defends this key pawn. And Pragg is holding things together here by a thread. I don't know if it's going to work though. As Simon mentioned, at your will you can capture a pawn, trade off a set of pawns. Look how open this king is though. I mean, you don't want to move the knight yet, you don't want to allow a trade of queens, but surely there's something. Just my spidey senses are tingling.
But if his king is a little open and all he needs is a draw, why should he not trade of queens then?
Black shouldn't trade queens here.
Okay, sorry.
So black cannot move the knight, for example, to take the white bishop, because then there will be a trade of queens.
Okay.
And white's king is actually great in the center if queens disappear. But yeah, black should be the one keeping queens on the board in the current position. If we go back to it, black needs to keep this piece. So yeah, maybe there's a small problem for black because this knight can't move without allowing that queen trade. How do you move the queen while keeping an eye on your knight?
I'm looking at ideas of taking the pawn once and trying to play the other pawn to that square, which I don't think really works, but it's the kind of thing you're naturally looking at, just really violently trying to open things up.
By any means necessary towards the king.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it probably en passant works well there, but it's kind of close because you do open up more lines and your knight drops, but it's you know, that white king is just a little bit loose. If Pragg holds this, I'll be very impressed, but saying that, Wei Yi has to find the next step here in the initiative.
What about, for example, moving your queen out of the way just so your rook can stare down on this line? And I'm looking at lines, for example, black's queen threatening to take this pawn because the c pawn is pinned. If white now attacks this knight, then suddenly the black knight at the very least could jump out the way. I know this would result in a queen trade, but maybe you can go for something like this. I mean, it just feels like there's something around this white king. I can't see it yet. Wei Yi can't see it yet. It's getting close though. It's getting very close.
Well, if we can't see anything, maybe it's just improve.
Rook across. So he defends his knight, as Ivanka says, improve. When you don't know how to move, improve. And now, because the black knight is defended, the black queen is free. So now she can come up the board, or maybe the black rook can start taking this pawn defended by the black queen. It's falling apart for Pragg. He needs to find a way to swap queens or keep control.
3 minutes on the clock, and these two have played some very long games. Right now they have played chess for 4 hours, so they're going above 4 hours now. Will sort of fatigue become an issue as well? I mean, Wei Yi is sitting, but both of them are actually playing at night.
Yeah, I mean, for Wei Yi, it's what, 4 a.m. now?
Yeah.
Exactly 4 a.m. And Pragg, it's almost that late. I mean, when you're young, maybe you can adjust.
Yeah.
As the years tick by, it's not so easy. But yeah, I'm sure they'll be full of adrenaline right now, at least. I mean, if it goes to playoffs, if it goes to Blitz, Armageddon, then it's definitely a test of stamina.
Mm-hmm. And I would say Wei Yi has been very calm and you know, seemed to be in control the whole day.
It's a trademark of the Chinese school of chess. Yeah.
Maybe so that's an advantage now with, you know, clocks ticking, adrenaline running.
And he's playing quickly as well. Clearly Wei Yi's not tired if he's playing this fast in a complicated battle. 7 minutes up on the clock.
I wonder how they train the Chinese players to remain mentally calm, because they do generally, when you see them playing, all the top players, they do seem to remain very calm at the board, very collective, whilst that's not the case for other countries, particularly. I mean, I haven't really seen a nervous.
I imagine they play a lot of blitz and fast time controls, but you know, Ding Liren has always been famous in the chess world for being relatively expressionless. You know, he's winning, losing, in time travel, seconds left, it's the same over the board. But online, we've seen Ding Liren many times be super, you know, emotional. You know, he's been shaking his head. You know, he's been quite
Maybe not at the
upset.
level of like Magnus Carlsen.
No,
know.
no, but it's very nice. Is what I'm trying to get at. It's
Yeah.
very nice to see the players
more.
give a little bit more, and so we can see, this is really affecting them. And Praggnanandhaa moves his rook again.
Yeah, it's very loose now. White's queen is not defended. Again, it just feels like there's some tactics in the position, and Wei Yi trying to look for them. Still trying to work out as well. For example, what happens if Black's rook comes and takes a pawn? Again, your move, Simon. Do you flick in a capture, a trade of pawns in front of the White king first? It's hard to work out the differences, right?
Yeah.
It feels like it's a step in the right direction, right, to capture pawns.
Open it up a bit more.
Yeah, the one downside in this current position, maybe behind trading pawns, is that the white bishop can now take back. I'm just slightly scared that at some point the white pawn will push forward and the white bishop is on this diagonal. Just while this pin exists, Black unable to take this bishop because the Black queen would fall. So just temporarily, I'm hesitant. But what about this move? Rook takes pawn. Just hoping that after rook takes, this is the only variation I've worked out. Maybe there's a flaw to the plan, but after the white rook now goes and captures the black knight, it looks like white is a whole piece up. But suddenly, after one check, where do you put your king? There's no safe square. No matter where you go, if you go back, forward, the black queen will actually drop down to this square. And if this is a skewer, once the white king moves, the queen will take the white rook. And yeah, here Black would actually, maybe even take with his own rook. Black here is ahead of material, and the white king is not going to survive for too much longer. Yeah, this looks
good.
very strong for Black.
In fact, I saw this move, but for some bizarre reason, I only thought it worked if the white king went onto the C line, the C3 square. There's a bit of a blindness there. But okay,
that was the variation with the C3 square.
Yeah.
Okay, the black rook moves across, trying to take this pawn. Okay, interesting. Trying to utilize this pin the black queen has on the white king now, and very logical as well. Centralizing all the black pieces. They're all protected, coordinated. These three pieces now. Yeah, lots of open lines about to come. Interesting stuff. Praggnanandhaa, I would hate to be in his shoes. 2 minutes left on the clock as well.
Yeah, and it does seem like Praggnanandhaa is actually struggling to come up with a plan. He's just in complete defensive mode.
Yeah.
Just what to do? I don't know. Push a pawn. I think Harry probably. I mean, I would. Hang on, is there some tricks? No.
Is Black not threatening White's central pawn?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, can he not just take the pawn now? I mean, what's the idea behind this last move? I mean, Black's last move seemed to set up a threat. You've got to look at your opponent's last move always, see where it's pointing, and can't that rook just take the pawn now?
Maybe
Or
there's
is
some
there
bishop
some trick?
takes.
Okay, we have to jump in. You guys are mentioning a lot of moves there. So if the black rook takes this pawn, utilizing this pin, then Ivanka, you think maybe